flow when I tiptoe. Fuck you mean I been dope.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Chella H.
And it's your man, Big Boss Bo Deal.
That's right, and it's the Str8Drop Uncut, the realest podcast in it.
Big fact.
Period.
And right now, this episode is brought to you by Complex Studios.
That's right, 2635 South Wall Bash, owned by KX. Y'all make sure y'all follow KX at CAYEXILLAH. Complex Studios, book there, best quality, best sound, all that. Shout out to Complex, my favorite studio. Y'all know the vibes.
You already know the vibe. So, Chills, what's been going on?
Well, ask me how I'm doing, bitch. My life is great. Money in a safe, still on Section 8. No, but I got a new song, How I'm Coming. It's doing really good. I got a video on the way. I've been making some of the best music I've ever made.
Facts. I love the growth. Like the music you making right now.
I love it.
It's some of the best music that I've heard in a long time.
It is. And one thing about this new batch, everybody's like loving it. Like every time somebody hear it, they call me afterwards like, man, I'm still thinking about all them new songs.
Yeah, you
So
got it.
I'm taking all W's, no L's, no L's. The only L's that we is having is
Our next guest.
period. L, what's good?
I'm a little parched right now. How y'all doing?
What's going on?
Hey, super producer. You
Facts.
at the end of the day,
I think I'm big in the. I think I'm like an icon now.
you are.
You
We gonna
icon.
give you
I mean, I'm
your
just
flowers.
thinking about like beats and stuff. That's like kind of like it's cool. Like I think that I don't care about that no more. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna cut y'all off
That's
because look,
okay.
because
It's your
I'm
show.
happy. I'm like goddamn Str8Drop Uncut. I remember when they were first conceptualizing this
Yeah.
and to see what it became. You got legends. Come on, man. So.
Period.
A lot of the young artists, I'm 29, so I ain't no old motherfucker yet, but I'm on the way. I think they don't understand the rich Chicago history and legacy that we have from just these two individuals on a lot of different levels. And I want to thank y'all for being here. I appreciate y'all. I've looked up to y'all in a lot of respects, and I'm so happy to be here and get in trouble today, guys.
Man,
You
I
ain't gonna get in
appreciate
trouble. You ain't gonna get in trouble. You all good. You all
Yes.
good.
Yeah,
All right,
you
can I pull this up a
definitely
little bit? All right,
Yeah,
cool.
you can do you. One of my faves, like I said, super producer, icon, all that.
They
We're gonna
work with
get you.
everybody.
That's right.
I worked with Jesus last week. Niggas don't even know that. Like I had a real, for real. I had like went to church and like I'm not serious.
No, but you've been working with Jesus. Anytime you working, Jesus is in the air, right?
Absolutely.
Period. So that ain't nothing new. But yeah, I know you've been popping your shit for a minute from all different type of artists, all different genres, from her, Bibby. A lot of people mainly know you, of course, before the Juice thing.
Yeah,
That was
that.
Herb and Bibby initially. You know how was that? First of all, before we get off into that, what part of Chicago are you from?
I'm from 79th Street, the East Side, Drill City. Let me kind of break this down. So, I was born in Hyde Park,
Okay.
so I know that doesn't disqualify my gangster card niggas is down the street. No.
Just a
But
tad
look,
bit.
no.
Just a tad bit.
But no, I was born in Hyde Park. I ain't gonna take niggas through my whole life story. Y'all don't care about that. But what I will say is, I ended up moving to 79th Street at about 3 years. I moved to Chatham. So
Okay.
I moved down the street from Chance the Rapper. I actually remember seeing him around because my godmother, I won't say raised, my mom would kick my ass, but I had a caretaker that my mom was working,
Mhm.
and she was an evangelical. So they was in the church scene and all that, so I would see them. So, ultimately, that's the first recollection of them. I know them and they rapping now, and it's just
Mhm.
crazy. Ultimately, I've always been in music. I would say, how can I get this? Like, I would say more so, my musical tapestry of my life is a combination of multiple things. Obviously, being in the church, you know what I'm saying, you get this musical whole, man, just everything. Because I don't want to hear this nigga lie all day.
Right.
So we a musical people. So I'm tapping into the drums and all that. And then you got to think, I said this in other interviews, if you a black kid in church, shit, you got 50 nigga kids and that's all trying to play the drums. It don't take, you can do that. So I gravitated towards being a percussionist in general because the kids didn't run towards piano organ because it took training to do that.
Right.
So I'm not a regular to just start it out. That's the foundation of my musical training. I'm not just a nigga that start clicking around. I've been professionally playing music my entire life.
Right.
So the reflection of my style now is a historical thing. Like anybody that know me, know I wasn't a nigga up there going in the court playing basketball because I didn't want to get jumped. I ain't play no football because I didn't want to look crazy. I was a musician and a scholar, a historian. Those are the things I pride myself on and the things I understand. I know my gift to the world, right?
Right.
So, long story short, it started with that. Playing the drums in church. I played better than everybody. I beat everybody. I was the go. And ultimately, from there, let's say we go up to round 10. That's 2002. A remarkable moment in my life happened. The movie Drumline came out. And it did three things for me. I was already, I could go all type of stuff. I'm trying to streamline because I want to sing very arrogant and stuff. I wrote 3 books.
Pop your shit.
Okay, I wrote 3 books by the age of 10. I won numerous young artists conferences. You could Google this. All this verifiable. In chronological order. So we get to 2002. Drumline came out. I met Farrakhan, Jesse Jackson, Carter Bernardine because my godmother was in that circle, like of these like black elite leaders, Jesse Jackson, what's the Claude and Addie Wild. Like I was around older people. I'm a 6-7-year-old around 40 and 50-year-old intellectuals speaking about. I'm talking about Reverend T.L. Baird. I'm talking about what's the brother's name that Obama's pastor. Well, it's important to say his name. I don't want to admit his name. His name is Jeremiah Wright. All these stuff like, yeah, I didn't know Meeks. He was nobody. But the point is, like, I was around that circle, so I had a deep evangelical circle. But my original birth father was a rank and file member of Nation of Islam. Weird, right? And my mom was obviously Baptist, so I'm getting the whole shebang.
Right.
Black man's God, white man's devil, follow civilization. You getting the whole shebang. So it was a lot, man. And at that time in Chatham, it still was like kind of a good community. You know what I'm saying? And we niggas could play outside, play ball.
Chatham was the nice side.
Man, that shit was like the suburbs on 79th in the hood. Let me get to 2002. That hits. Drumline come out. That shit was cool. Cause you gotta think in the evolution of your musical experience, I'm like, damn, that's cool. And now you're getting up as you approach 10, now you're talking about college, middle school. So now that whole I took to that. I jumped in the marching band thing head first. I mean, I've been on New Generation Fancy Drill Team, N2D. I did South Shore Drill Team like 2-3 days. South Shore High School, I did. That's a whole story. I'll get to that. But I did about several drill teams and drum lines. And I went from, because you got to think when you playing drums, it's all the drums, and then you go to one drum, and it's like focus, and you got to master that. And that was a difficult thing. So long story short, by the time I ended up getting 17, 18 years old, I was a master percussionist. There's nothing you could do like master. So while these niggas clicking, which I mastered that too, like master percussion. So I was a prodigy. So long story, and anybody that tells you I won all type of awards competitions, that's not. So let's go back to 2002. I see Drumline. Now I'm like, yo, let me do this. Fast forward a little later that year, my godmother, who was my caretaker, passed away. So that kind of, I was in 5th grade, 10 years old. So that shot up, man, and it threw my whole world away. Because that was kind of what I knew. I was still with my mom, but since the school, the zoning, right? You got to be in the area. Right. You might have some kids. They, and at that time, the more kids you in the area, the amount of dollars the government gives and all that stuff. Long story short, that subsided. So I had to move over east with my mom. Now my mother lived on initially we moved to 79th and Dobson. So that little area is a lot like Lawn City, right? Right. You know what I'm saying? They call it Drill City now, but that was a real, and before that we was on 79th and Luella, but I was still going back and forth. My grandmother, who Chella knows, was on lived on Yates. Cold hustler. I don't even want to get into that. But I have and what's funny is my dad's side and my mom's side, I have very, very dark families. Okay. So it's like in that world, Like, I don't even really speak to a lot of them like that. No disrespect. I love y'all. Don't call my phone. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, shit. Like, I just have dark families. Like, niggas that just was crazy. But I was sheltered, so I didn't know none of this. Shit, I woke up one morning. I'll be honest. I woke up one morning going to 6th grade. Niggas start saying, GD? What the fuck is a GD? Oh, this was a GD. I'm like, damn, all right, well, we fighting it. I guess shit. It's just, so it's like growing up in the war zone. So I pride myself on being strong enough that I didn't fucking gangbang for real. I mean, I didn't care. Like that peer pressure shit didn't matter to me.
That shit don't matter.
I'm saying a lot of niggas fought. I didn't fought because I didn't care. I knew I was smarter than everybody. Right. So that's how I started getting a reputation for he this because I was always, I'd be the nigga in the class and I know more. And I wasn't humble at the time because I was the only child. My dad had kids under me later, but at the time, it's your world, baby. So I never learned coexisting. Right. I never learned the dynamics of building with people. So it kind of hindered me in relationships in a personal way with other people. And I'm still dealing with that today. I don't think even to today I fully matured in dealing with other people because I feel like it had been about me for so long, it's habitual. So long story short, at the time, going into middle school, I had a conscious explosion. So my mom took me out to school. It was a bunch of shit that happened with that. I'm just trying to give y'all the clip notes. I ended up going, my original school was Ruggles Elementary, Martha Ruggles on 79 and King Drive. So I ended up transferring for middle school to Betty Shabazz International Charter School. And that is the mecca of black education for kids. So they gonna give you everything in there. I'm talking about, man, you gonna get more Malcolm than Mar, then you gonna learn why Mar was a goofy. And they're gonna say that. And like they're gonna break the whole shit down. They're gonna tell you everything. You're gonna learn about the Ma'afa. You're gonna be speaking in Egyptian. Like it's a real African school. That shit changed and then now that switched my whole mindset. Now I'm speaking 4 languages. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll be honest, it really fucks you up because I left public school, then you go to this middle school. Hakeem Booty ran it. He runs the only black publisher at the time, which was Third World Press, which is black history in itself. And when I was there, from 2002 to 2006, when I graduated 8th grade, man, everybody was in that motherfucker. Alicia Keys gave us like $6 million. Danny Glover. I met all these people, so I already had the mindset that, damn, this is attainable. Mm-hmm. Like, these is regular motherfuckers. They trying to find tax write-offs. How the fuck did I know taxes and credit at that early age? Because of the type of school I went to. So I was fortunate enough to do that. And it was only like $120-something every like year. So this is, and y'all, if you got kids, look into Betty Shabazz International Charter School. They got Barbara Sizemore. I forget where that was at. And they took over DuSable High School. Mm. And I mean, that shit changed my life because now I knew the black man was God. At this point, I was just trying to figure out how to navigate. A lot of people graduated and deviated to other spaces. Like when they got out of that school and they went back to public school, they deviated. I kind of did too, but So long story short, in 7th grade, I made the conscious decision to stop working. I stopped doing homework. I didn't give a fuck. I quit everything. Because I knew everything. I was teaching the class. Like, his name is Sunjata Mason and Makita Kepler, that's my 7th, 8th grade teacher. They literally was penalizing me because they said, man, you are too gifted. You don't give a fuck. Like, my mom went to my 8th grade graduation and they didn't give me one award to teach me. I didn't give a fuck anyway because I make more money than anybody. But I'm just saying, like, they didn't give me one award in front of my whole family. My grandma was there to prove a point to me that without work, you won't get anything. So I would hate to say that typically people are like, you know what, that situation taught me. I said, no, nigga, I still won't work. You know what I'm saying? I worked for what I wanted to work for. You're not, and ultimately, and I know this is therapy and shit, but what I'm saying is ultimately, I looked at that because to graduate, we had to go to survival camp. So if you're in 8th grade at that school, In order to graduate from that school, it's called Camp Nzinga. It's in the middle of some nowhere in Arkansas somewhere, and your parents sign off for you to go to 1 week, and you shoot firearms. That's what I'm saying. Any nigga play me, I'm killing you. And I'm going to go home and eat potato salad like nothing happened, bro. I have no worry in my heart about no other man at all. I'm fearful, but the fear is going to have me protect myself. But what I'm saying, we practice defense training. Hey, if something happens, how do you protect your mother? How do you protect your kids? How do you protect? What is the situational awareness? Condition white, condition like military grade shit. So with the pandemic, I was ready. I'm ready to do anything to terminate a situation to protect me and my family in a situational space that could destroy the fabric of our livelihood. So we learned this in 8th grade. I mean, to the point where you got to eat dirt. How do I get protein from dirt to live 7 days to I find a rationable food source? Like, this is real thing. So, and they teach us this on 78th and Ellis. This is a big school. So I got to give them credit, man. That shit kind of changed my mentality. So my grandmother at the time, I'll be honest, I ended up finding out I had a bunch of other siblings and shit. That's how I meet my brother, which ultimately had leads to her. Long story short, I'm just trying to speed through this shit. So at that point, damn, what happened, bro? Okay, yeah. So at that point, I went to go to Simeon High School because, nigga, Simeon was like black. That's like the shit, you know?
But you ain't go.
I didn't go because my grandma made me go to Hills, Francis.
Okay, so do you regret
So you got to think, I'm one of the most famous Hills niggas like Bump J, Count. Who else went to Hills? There's some other people went to Hills. But yeah, but we went to Hills and, you know, none of us stayed. But, you know, they old. I'm a kid peasant, but I'm just saying at that time, now I'm tuning in with my uncle. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say his name for whatever reason, but
For what reason?
Because, you know all this stuff. But the point is, he ran with Bump J and them. That was like real close to you, and you know. You could say whatever.
Right, rest in peace, Kick though.
Yeah, that's my dad.
So yeah, rest in peace, Kick though.
Yeah,
so
R.I.P. to my uncle.
This Str8Drop Uncut. So
oh yeah, all right, you want to? All right, so I can talk. Yeah, so my uncle, but I didn't know him as that. Right. This is just my dad's little brother. I know him as Nick. So, as I'm starting to get in little troubles and stuff like that, I'm going over there, and the trouble I was getting into was like taking video, and just kiddie shit. Like, wasn't no like guns and all shit like that. But basically, I'm going over there, and now keep in mind, I'm still a drummer, so I'm falling in love with terrestrial hip hop nationwide. So when 50 Cent came out, it was like, what the fuck is this? This nigga was like God. The way they marketed it, like nigga had a video game, like the marketing on that. I've never seen nothing like it. I mean, it's Snoop maybe in '92 or something like that. They made dude for like the biggest rapper in the world.
Facts.
So long story short, I started going around and I'm falling in love with hip hop, and I'm trying to get a cell phone. I get some girls, and I steal my uncle's cell phone because I visit my grandmother. He chastised me. He got me riding around with him. I'm in a car with him on 71st. I've never seen this much money in my life in a car. Like. Cause my dad's incarcerated. My mom, she at work waiting, and that's when I first see Bum J. I see this nigga from afar. This nigga like Jesus, bro. Like, cause you gotta think, nigga had 100. I'm a kid. I don't know none of this. Right. I see this, and I'm like, wow, who is these people? And I didn't know nothing about hip hop. The first rapper I ever met in my life was Brain Hustle. That's the first actual rapper that would talk to me. Right. And I was trying to express to him that I wanted to make beats. But I didn't know. I was like, yeah, I want to do the thing you rap behind. I'm like 11. He like, man, all right, whatever. I seen the Young YP. I seen the Young Zona, man. All these niggas. So, because I'm from over East for real. Like, I don't know. I ain't never see a lot of niggas that be saying they from over East. I'd have been in every Bobbles. I'm fat. I'd have been in every Bobbles, every motherfucking AP Deli, every Harold's. I ain't see none of these niggas growing up. For real. So, long story short, that was my first exposure to seeing not knowing it now, but not knowing it then, but seeing terrestrial rap success in Chicago. Right. Obviously, Kanye he was like we didn't know that nigga. Right. You know what I'm saying? I heard my uncle continue to talk about him, but I didn't know who he was, other than this is a guy that is just like be around Jay-Z. And we've seen on TV, keep him out. We're getting raised, going into the internet age, AOL, iMessenger tagged, all this stuff, so we're getting ushered in it. even Soulja Boy, that was kind of late for us. Like Soulja Boy came out, I was a sophomore in high school, so just kind of move the story along to her because we almost there. So now we get to 2007. I can talk
that's
about
what we
it.
want. So we
No, but so I get to 2007, and this is important to why that worked.
right.
Because people want to know why they hit so quick. Because they had a method, I had something I had been developing, and it was glue and it worked. So the story is important. But long story short, I went to South Shore High School. This is how all this shit happened. So I ended up having to leave Hales for financial reasons. My bad. For financial reasons, I went to South Shore High School. And when I got to South Shore High School School of the Arts, and granted, when they said School of the Arts, because I was at Hales for 2 years, I ended up coming in. When they said School of the Arts, they just was saying that. Because at Hales, it was more of a basketball school.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there for academics, but it didn't feel right. If you ain't, shit, they talking about if you don't play basketball, like, man, real quick, first day of school, they get all the black boys, and it was like a fucking plantation. Hey, they put 12 basketballs out there. Just shoot around. They start picking niggas like, hold on, come on, you. All right, London, you go sit down. I'm like, damn. And so I saw what the initial thing was, and then the kids they didn't have to go to class. So I saw, this is what the next level looks like. So I start getting that inclination in that, man, when you're an adult, people gonna start filtering you out of shit if you don't have the aptitude for certain things that they see.
Right.
So I'm like, damn, okay, this is what the fuck going on. So the next thing I did is when I transferred to South Shore, I immediately had got into the other drum line there, and I just dominated on it. I was the youngest section leader in South Shore history. Man, you can ask Mr. Grover up there, any of them guys. But also, this goes into two other things. I did two other activities while I was there. I did debate, and I did music production. Now, keep in mind, I never had a beat machine. My earliest views of that was like Zay told them niggas was like God. Them niggas was playing keyboard so fat on YouTube and all, like, because we watching YouTube now, and Just Blaze and all these dudes. So to get that equipment at that time, as a shit was $4,000 or $5,000 just for the. You don't even have the computer. It was just it. But FL Studio was a viable option. We took what we had, but the learning curve was kind of weird at that time. So I was like, you know what? This is what I'm gonna focus on. So, and this all got to lead to her. Man, I'm telling you, all this leads to this shit. So then the other way I went is debate. So when I went to debate, I dominated. I was the #1 debater in Chicago in 2008. I won a whole scholarship off that shit to damn near every Division I college in the Midwest and the South. I ain't do no work. I didn't do no homework. I just was talking and finessed. Facts, G. I was in that bitch. Bro, okay. I won the Abraham Lincoln debates.
Period.
It was April 2008, bro. I'm actually the reason the new South Shore High School was built. Me personally. Them niggas up there wasn't doing nothing.
They know that? They give me your
bro,
credit.
What? My name is, bro, go to 75th and Jeffrey, and you go up to, and you see who name is in the ground. So I did this shit before I even knew a Herb.
Right.
But how did that? Okay.
I'm gonna tell you what happened. Long story short, how it happened is I was the #1 debater in Chicago. So South Shore at that time was on some gang banging shit. So I'm knowledgeable. I came up there. I'm winning these awards, and they had an alumnus that was all Jewish when the community wasn't black back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s before white flight. So they wanted to reinvest in the school because they wanted to see some aptitude. They want to say, okay, well, can we see some? Okay, the basketball team made this. And what do you have? Oh, we got this kid. Lundy's a transfer. He's doing really well in debate. So they would come to the debates at DePaul University. This is in 2000. I was just killing them, bro. I was beating all Whitney Young. I was whooping their ass. No cap. I swear to God, it was ridiculous. But we would do mock trial in the Abraham Lincoln debate. So long story short, I do that. My mom this is all the story. My mom starts giving me more leeway. Because she like, okay, well, you're not doing nothing, but I'm going to let you go out because you're doing so well in this. Mm-hmm. So by doing that, she started letting me go to the skating rink. So when I started going to the rink, now this juke music and all this shit, I'm trying to tell the story because it's all ties later. So now I got this all these juke parties and all this shit. So now it's a whole nother culture, and it's not rap music, but it's moving people.
Right.
So I'm like, damn, this shit is crazy. So I love music, so it's just all soaking up. So at this point, I done had the church influence. I done had the influence of drumline and that whole thing. Music production is there, but now I'm seeing juke for real. So now it's the juke music. So now I want to do the drill teams more. So then that's all I do the Boy Billiken parade 3-4 times. You know, and I'm starting to see, damn, this style of music is danceable. Like you got them niggas was putting any sample on there, just, and as long as you had it at a certain beat, because I understood it musically, it worked. It was moving people. Niggas was coming to parades 100 degrees dancing for 6 hours. So I'm learning like, wow, okay, so this could work. Okay, so we fast forward 2008. I don't got enough credits to graduate. So I'm supposed to graduate 2010, but I think ahead, so I know I'm not finna graduate on time. I ain't want to be around niggas and stuff. It's funny. At the time, the first person from that area who I meet was the kid Jacoby, who I passed, who heard I did the song, the tape Ball Like a Cover. I met Jacoby Heron, which I kind of knew his cousin from going to Hills. Okay, that's the first link to me and dude. I don't know who he is. He's just a kid. He ain't even in. He going to Boucher. He's not even in high school at this point.
Who we talking about now?
GHerbo. So
okay.
So
that's how you originally met her, was through.
I didn't meet him through that. That's how I first heard. I got a little cousin that rap. None of us was popular. This nigga was in 4th, 5th grade. Like I just heard Jacob, man. I got a little cousin. We'll talk about he rapped, and it was some other niggas from over there that area because they was right there. So, long story short, I didn't know who a Bibby was. I didn't even know who he was. So long story short, a lot of shit happened in 2008. And this all tells the story of the whole Chicago. That's why it's important to tell this. Because at that point, the only rap... Okay, so I leave Hills. That summer, I'm doing the drill team stuff. And I do the Boy Billiken that summer 2008. Before that, I go to New York with this thing called Upward Bound. So Upward Bound was a program for the kids. They take us all to New York. So for the first time, I went to New York. And I met Hell Real. Some type of way, I just run in the fucking Hell Real. I don't know. I'm a kid. I don't know shit. I know this shit sound boring, but it's all going to somewhere. I meet Hell Real, and I get his number. I'm 17. And I go out there on the trip to Harlem with Overbound Chicago State, and I meet dude. Come back here. So I got this random rapper's number who I know because I love Cameron because he was just a man. We all watched Killer Season. So I got that. I'm 2 fucking years from not graduating, and I got this one dude telling me about some kid that he know that can rap. This is literally that.
And this is Jacoby telling you about her.
But keep in mind, I'm just pre-shadowing it because I never knew about this shit. That I didn't even know because it was fun. I don't want to put him out there like that. Jacoby wasn't hanging out with the people he started rapping long term. I didn't know them. I didn't know about a Terror Town and nothing like that. Right. But ultimately, that's what I'm saying. When I saw him later, I'm like, damn. So this was who you was talking about, and it just came together. So RP to the brother. But what I'm trying to say is, in 2008, I had made a decision. I'm going to reveal this last pillar, and then we going head into the music. So, I'm talking about, but no, it's important. Because I might die, shit, an earthquake or something. You got to know.
No, I'm
not talking shit. But no, seriously, I came back, and I was doing this tag and shit. And, a tag, when the people play the buckets on the street, I never did. I played real instrument. So, we were tagging still. So, we learned regimental stuff. So, I learned all this music theory. And then a day came, and I just didn't want to do that no more. I just felt like, okay, I'm about to be a junior in high school. What the fuck is the pro level of this? I mean, I could do the debate thing. That's going to pay for it. But my dad started coming around a little more, and he was just kind of telling me, like, what's the pro level of what you doing? Like, it's like, if I'm playing basketball, I want to go to the NBA. I was a crab at that point for the new one I jumped, so I hadn't even ascended. But I had representation for the other ones I was at. So long story short, I leave. And after the Bud Billiken parade. So I catch a ride to my homie crib that I went to school with. This thing literally started everything. I go and I see a friend from high school, right? And the friend I see from high school, that's cool with him, that we all went to school together. They know I'm a tech guy. They know I'm. So he's like, yeah, London, can you burn me a CD? I'm like, so he give me all these songs, you know what I'm saying, Gucci, man, all this shit. Hey, yeah, but it's this new guy, man. I don't think you'll find it, man. It's like King Louie. I'm like, King Louie? You talking from Disney? He's like, no, King, because I'm thinking it's for some kids.
Right.
He's like, King Louie, it's called What That Mouth Do. And I'm like, all right, I'll find it. So I couldn't find it, so I walked to 79th and Cottage to ABC Sale and asked, hey, y'all know about a King Louie or something? They was like, yeah, we got the disc. So he gave me the CD. I heard I ripped it to get it to him because I was trying to make $20, $30. Man, gee, that shit was so hard. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? So
Right.
King Louie was the first all these guys I ever heard in my life. This is in 2008.
Right.
So they way older than us. So at that point,
Who way older than you?
like King Louie, I mean, like on me, he probably has 4 or 5 years. I'm
Okay,
just
that
saying.
ain't way older. But look, understandably, because King Louie was the first.
Because
out of
Bump J
everybody.
had went to jail,
Right.
and you know who, you know what I'm saying. And
Okay.
can we say that or
No,
no?
we can
Yeah,
continue.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
continue.
Yeah. So that was over with. So for us to see a Chicago guy in that moment, the only people we were seeing at the time was like a U or a LEP, shit like that. Like it wasn't really, maybe Shorty K. The Pope was real big, but he wasn't really no rapper. He was a juke artist.
Right.
So we didn't. Maybe the Pope was the guy. Now I will say this: my first, and man, this is so important. I gotta give credit, man. At the time, I think the first dude I took serious, like I would give Louie that credit, but when I was going to those skating rinks, man, LilLes was the GOAT, bro. LilLes was
shout out
God,
LilLes.
G. Listen what I'm telling you, bro. I like, as far as the music, he had all them dudes in high school singing that shit. That was a real serious thing. LilLes from the Pocket, man, like he really was the first Chief Keef to me. Or he reminded me, and I know this is a big statement, but I'm gonna make it. He reminded me of what I feel like when people describe Larry Hoover in their era, in that moment, because he had all the kids kind of following his lead, because they was playing crazy like that for real and rapping about it. So keep in mind, I'm just setting precedent because I want to give people their fucking credit. Like, they don't be doing that.
Right.
Like, niggas don't say actively that LilLes turned niggas up on a lot of different ways, but he was the first guy you knew was in the street. And I talked to Les actually recently in jail. Like, maybe.
I met him too.
Yeah, so to see him do that, he just was 5 years too early. That's his only problem. He was literally too early. But him and King Louie was the two guys that at that moment. Now keep in mind, I'm not discovering this. It's just coming across the desk like it's dominating space. Like you have to know about this. That these is the people that's popping and hot.
So did you start working with them?
No, not initially. What happened is because I'll fast forward. I end up leaving school early, getting my GED. So
Where did you get your GED at?
I think it was like DePaul or something, Chicago, whatever city college. Cause look, this is what I did. I'm so bossed up. I signed out the next day. I scheduled the test. The next week I took the test. I knew everything. So I had a whole year. I basically graduated a year early. So I had a whole year to devote because I already got admitted to every school I really wanted to. Because I came back and showed all I had to do was take the ACT. Because I did it coming and going to the senior. So when I went back to Southern, they was looking like, what?
But you did
Bro,
perfect on the ACT.
I didn't get perfect. I got 24. Okay. I only tried once. I didn't care. I just did prove a point.
Right.
I didn't care. I knew where the money was going. Keep in mind, now my brother, who I'm meeting, is going to Simeon. His homies is Derrick Rose and them. So I'm seeing a lot of because this all is the reason why this drill shit really popped the way it did. Because it was a climate that was created on the streets, in the athletics, in the politics of this city. It's a lot of reason why this shit happened. This speaks to why Herb and them worked. Because right now, at that time, Derrick Rose, you knew he was going to NBA. This is 08. he did that freshman year and went straight, got drafted. So now every young nigga was shifted from kind of want to be street per se to, oh, I want to play athletics. We didn't have a rap representation yet, but we were seeing dudes like you popping, bro. We were seeing the essential. You was doing your thing. We were seeing, as kids, we were seeing people grow, and then the advent of car cracking started happening. So now you seeing shorties with thousands of fucking dollars. It was just it was a very crazy time. And then I started seeing a lot of anti-GD sentiment going. Like I remember it was like super GG, and then when they hit with the LilLes thing, and then it started just getting a lot of people just didn't like GDs.
Right.
I'm just being honest, bro.
No, it's the truth.
But no, I don't know why it was. It was just it flipped. We gotta just tell the truth, bro, because somebody gotta have a true account of what happened. That set the climate. Now keep in mind, I'm out a year early. So I was kicking with the guys, and I ended up getting with this other group of people called TKO. Now TKO was who did of DJ Morris,
Right.
all them.
Shout out Amari.
They raised me because now I was with this group called ELG. These are my college, my Catholic school homies, but they was all basketball players that ended up wanting to turn musicians too late. I was a musician early, so TKO was parties and musicians. So it worked more. So they was throwing the parties where this whole shit could even happen at. So a perfect storm started swirling. They was really affiliated with LilLes in them. That could have popped him. If he would have kept pushing that, they would stop fighting and beefing. He had the music. They had the relationships. It could have went. Because it was the predominant street movement at that time. King Louie was a better lyricist or just as good, but he wasn't ringing name in the streets as hard as dude. But they was like neck and neck. What am I saying? At that point, LilLes ended up going to jail, and King Louie was alone. He didn't have King Samson was just as good too, but people didn't like him for some reason. I just walked into that. Keep in mind, I'm learning as I'm going, so I'm seeing like King Samson, they're not really respecting his lyricism, which he's a god with the lyrics too. Yeah. And niggas don't respect his musicianship and his ability to be a great traditional rapper. Not just on the drill shit, but I know that he was one of their early adversaries, but he was cool with Les. Whatever. What am I saying? I get to 2010, because I'm kind of speeding fast. So I had a year of study. I end up deciding to go to SIU Carbondale. I already had an acceptance at University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, full ride. So now I'm doing a college thing. So now my goal is, this is the fifth wheel. Now I go to college, it's a whole nother world. Because now just how you got street gangs and all this, now you go down there, you got Qs and Kappas and AKAs. And so now that's a dynamic too, because they're little promotional groups. So I won't say little disrespectful. They are monolithic organizations with connections everywhere that can make one phone call and, hey, we got a nigga here and if you're not a member, it's usually not customary for you to have access to those relationships, to be able to monetize, or you just use it to promote or whatever. You could partner up, but you won't get the access that most people should get or will want to have being in Division I college. So I go down there, making my name, making beats. I'm kind of speeding fast. And at that time, now I get on King Louie radar, because I find out that King Louie, like his neighborhood, Dro City, and my neighborhood are tied in some type of way, to the point where they call my neighborhood Drill City now. So when you say Pac-Man and Fat Smack and all of Pac-Man was Pac-Man was the first drill rapper. I didn't know, right. But I didn't know Pac-Man. I was just watching LEP shit. So I think I saw him, but I didn't know who he was. Right. So at that time, Pac-Man, obviously his shorties was King Louie and all of them.
So who did you work with out of the
That's what I'm saying.
King Louie.
That was it.
King Louie was the first.
King Louie was the first guy, and I tell everybody publicly, like, King Louie didn't take me seriously. And I understand why, because my beats wasn't at the level they need to be. Like, he was working with low key, heavy, which low key shit was crazy. And at that time, remember, we in a transformative period where we're shifting. You know what I'm saying? No IDs probably getting more rank. The tracks, He's getting more rank. They becoming executives. So who is the young Chicago producers? You know what I'm saying? Like I knew of a Chase Davis, and I knew that Chase was a superior producer to the other guy he was going against, but I didn't know. But Chase was like the forefather of us. So I got to give him his credit for that. So he was right. He was that bridge. That's why that new niggas and all that was hot, because it was a trap sound for Bump that worked with us, because you had Chase Davis who was listening to it. Say Tell was working with Sly and all this shit. So he was, I think Chase was the glue to bridge.
Max glow when I tiptoe. Fuck you mean I